votes with the same results.
No member-elect having received a majority of the votes cast, a speaker has not been elected.
Republican leader Kevin McCarthy falling short a total of 6 times since yesterday in his bid to become House Speaker.
Members are beginning to get tired. They're beginning to get cranky with this process. They're upset about the continued voting and tensions. They are rising. These repeated votes may backfire on McCarthy. The votes over and over show that McCarthy lacks the votes to win so far.
Fox's Chad Pergram at the Capitol. 20 conservatives are standing firm in their opposition to McCarthy, while some other Republicans accuse them of playing politics and holding up an agenda that won back the House. The president heads to Mexico City soon and might make a side trip.
Next week, President Biden will participate in the North American Leaders Summit in Mexico. He hinted it may be the chance to visit the southern border. Preparing to depart after an event in Kentucky, he was a bit more definitive after a reporter's question about visiting the border.
That's my intention. We're working out the details now.
President Biden has gotten criticism from conservatives for not having gone there in person while in office.
Fox's Gernal Scott, Republicans and some Democratic officials in border states accuse the president of failing to secure the border. The administration defends its policies while urging bipartisan work on immigration reform. Arraignment day for 19-year-old Trevor Bickford of Maine, accused of trying to kill police on New Year's Eve in New York City.
Bickford appearing before a judge virtually from a hospital bed. Officers shooting him in the shoulder after the teen allegedly shouted Allahu Akbar and charged at police near Times Square.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Prosecutors say Bickford intended to attack government officials across the U.S. He's held without bail, facing multiple charges. America is listening to Fox News.
If you have certain chronic conditions, such as
heart disease,
asthma,
diabetes, and you're 19 years of age or older,
52,
36,
42, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'm going to ask my doctor
about getting vaccinated
with Prevnar 20.
Storm prep all over again in California, which is still recovering from a recent round of severe weather.
California Office of Emergency Services Director Nancy Ward confirmed that Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a statewide emergency declaration,
which provides additional authority and powers to rapidly deploy aid to impacted communities.
This as parts of California brace for another weather system known as an atmospheric river, which brings trillions of gallons of water vapor from the Pacific to California. It's the same system that brought major flooding and triggered landslides last weekend, killing at least one person.
Fox's Matt Napolitano. State officials are urging people to stay off the roads and prepare for power outages. NFL player Damar Hamlin still in intensive care after suffering cardiac arrest on the field Monday night, but the Buffalo Bills confirming signs of improvement. Marvel co-stars posting support for actor Jeremy Renner, enduring multiple surgeries to recover from being run over by a snowplow at his home in Nevada.
Renner published a selfie in a hospital bed looking battered and bruised, thanking fans for all their support. Chris Hemsworth responded on the post, "Speedy recovery, buddy." Guardians of the Galaxy star Chris Pratt said, "Continued prayers your way, brother." While Chris Evans wrote, "Tough as nails. Love you, buddy."
Fox's Michelle Polino. The co-founder of Dave & Buster's has died. James Buster Corley was 72.
For the past 40 years, his establishment brought food and games to millions of customers. The idea for Dave & Buster's was hatched in the late 70s when Corley was running a restaurant in Dallas near a business operated by David Corriveau that offered entertainment and games for adults. The pair teamed up to open their first dining and games establishment in 1982. And since then, the business grew with scores of Dave & Buster's locations across the U.S.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. There's no official word yet on a cause of death. Stocks snap a losing streak. The Dow up 133. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
It's showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Pipes is writing down a lot of stuff. I'm just going to go from the gut. And joining us now, Coach Bielema, Josh Whitman joining us now.
You get to say all the cool name drops.
Do it.
Brad Underwood, our guest.
College hoops.
How do you lose to Jackson State?
Call up every single person in the media that didn't put Kofi first team All-American. And I don't know, just play like clown noises.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh, Michael Porter Jr. has been good, but he thinks the earth is flat, so I can't pick him.
Oh, boy.
Throw it up to Kofi, and he's just going to tear the rim off.
How is he so good? All right, Hans, I'm going to mute you for a while.
Okay.
Oh, there's a timeout on the court!
So what we want to do is build a same-game parlay that will win all of us some money.
Maybe Rondale Moore could beat Cooper Kupp, but he's not. Is it Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that what IG means?
I think you have to win the Big Ten title to win Big Ten Player of the Year.
Woohoo!
Wow, what a bad take.
Oh, yeah, baby. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio, The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. Excuse me, I've done that 5 million times and just messed it up. Good evening. It is Lante. No Derek Piper tonight. You just heard from him on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line. He's in Evanston getting ready for tonight's game between Illinois and Northwestern. Jason Thompson, my buddy, is guest hosting today. Thanks again, my man, for doing this.
Super exciting.
Absolutely. This is going to be fun. So we visited with Pipes first hour. We're going to hear from Brad Underwood, not live, but he met with the media yesterday. So we'll hear some snippets from Coach, including how healthy is Sky Clark and where are we at with Luke Goody. By the way, Luke Goody will be joining us tomorrow at 4:05. So excited to bring him on. We have Luke Goody on each week. We apologize. We missed him last week, but with the holidays and such, we just weren't able to factor that in. Plus, I had to fly down and watch Griffin Moore make a catch in the ReliaQuest Bowl. So I had a good excuse for not being here to chat with Luke Goody, but we will definitely do that tomorrow at 4:05 and hopefully be talking about an Illini victory at Northwestern. It is time. I just mentioned his name, Griffin Moore, Illinois tight end, joins us on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line. What's up, Griffin?
Not much, man. How you guys doing?
Good. I always tell everybody that has that name. Although I told Caleb one time, Griffin, but I'm like, it doesn't really count with you because it's a last name. But my first dog ever was named Griff. I love that name. Now, before you think that's a shot at you, I love that dog, man. So, I mean, Griffin, you got a great name, my friend.
I appreciate it.
Okay, I'm going to go full transparency on you, Griffin Moore. We're sitting there. I'm having a few Bud Lights, watching the game. Things are going. I'm like, let's go. Let's get this done. And all of a sudden, DeVito drops back and throws it across the middle to 43. And I'm like, sweet, what a pickup. And then I was like, wait a minute, 43. And so a guy behind me had a program, and I'm like, all right, remind me. And he's like, Griffin Moore. I'm like, oh, yeah, the Bloomington young man. That's awesome. What was that moment like for you when you caught that ball and got a little yak out of it?
I mean, to be honest, it was pretty cool. You know, I've gotten a lot of texts and whatnot, but more than anything, I just feel like it was, you know, a culmination of it was a reward of all the work that I've put in over the past few years, and you know, I think people in the building have seen it. You know, my teammates have seen it, so none of those guys were surprised. As crazy as it may sound, when I got my opportunity, they knew that I would take advantage. But yeah, it was exciting, man, and you know, just to get that opportunity, that's all you can ask for is an opportunity. And then also to be able to share the field with some of my guys, you know, especially in their last games, like guys like Tommy, you know, that's one of my best friends, and so to be able to share the field with those guys was awesome.
What is that like, Griffin, to know that the ball's supposed to come your way? I don't feel like that was a check down. I feel like that play was designed to get it to Griffin Moore. So when you're lined up on that line of scrimmage, what's kind of going through your mind of knowing that you're about ready to get a catcher in the ReliaQuest?
You know, I feel like if I was younger, you know, I would have been more nervous and you know, but honestly, I've been here for so long at this point. You know, when I line up, I'm just thinking, you know, I'm more so worried, hey, what's the coverage, and all those things, you know, in the heat of the moment. But when that ball comes, you know, that's probably the most confident I am, you know, anytime throughout my entire life is when the ball's in there and it's coming my way. You know, it's just like a natural thing. And I feel like, you know, I can catch any pass that's thrown to me. as crazy as it may sound, even though you guys haven't seen a whole lot of it.
Sure.
It's just the way that I am. So, I got lined up. I saw the play call. I got lined up, and I was excited. I kind of started nodding my head when I saw the signal for what the play was. So, got lined up, and I kind of made eye contact with Tommy before the play, and I knew I knew it was coming my way.
That's awesome.
I love the mental makeup and the physical makeup of your answer. Obviously, you love to hear that you're mature and you're ready for the moment, but also after the catch, trucking the guy and continue to get upfield. That has to be an even better feeling, right? A guy coming from Central Illinois, right, get the D1 opportunity, coming to the home state school, going to a bowl game, and just running over a DB safety in a bowl game, representing the University of Illinois. Just kind of walk us through that feeling, walk us through the feeling of just being in the bowl moment.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, man. I mean, like I said, getting the opportunity to, or would really rather finally get an opportunity to play.
Right.
And then, for it to be against the SEC school like Mississippi State, who has some really good players, really good team. It was awesome. I'd be lying to you guys if I said, going into the game I wasn't nervous. Just understanding the opportunity that was in front of me and having to understand that I was going to play. Not really knowing how many snaps, but knowing that I would get that, I would have a chance to make something happen at some point. Really, that specific moment, I honestly, it's funny now because, everybody on the side was like, man, I always talk about when I catch the ball, I'm going to jump over someone, and that would have been the perfect opportunity to do it. So I came back and everybody was like, man, you're supposed to jump. That was the one, especially Taz was all in my ear. Yeah, no, it felt good. I got up and it just felt like, normal. I feel like, again, I know, people outside of the facility haven't seen it much, but I just feel like, I've been doing this for 4 years. Like, it just felt normal. It felt like we were in a team period in practice, and I think the coolest thing for me really was just, aside from, that being my first career catch, was just the situation of, it was a 3rd and long. The cowbells were loud before the play. You're hearing the cowbells, and then after you catch it and you pop up, you just hear Illinois fans cheering like that. That's something that, that's that. And I also heard, I could hear the Illinois fans, but I just heard Isaiah Williams going nuts behind. And Isaiah's my roommate, like my brother. And so that was a pretty cool moment, man.
Well, one thing that struck me when I was at that game is that when you guys took the field, I know you had warmed up already, but when you guys took the field basically for the last time before the game started, it just seemed like there was a little bit of an uptick in terms of excitement, et cetera, from you guys. Obviously, you're playing at Raymond James Stadium. It's a professional stadium. It's a huge bowl game. You're playing an SEC team, as you mentioned. You've come out on a lot of fields, Griffin. Griffin Moore, by the way, our guest on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line, Illinois tight end. You've come out on a lot of fields, including a great one here in Champaign at Memorial Stadium. Was it a little bit different? Was it a little bit different that day to come out onto that field?
I think so. I think so, even more so than when we played it back in, 2019, late 2019, when we played at the 49ers Stadium.
That's right.
I think just having, even the fact that the Bucks played there the day before, that's a pretty cool feeling to have. And, I'm not going to lie to you guys, playing in November in Ann Arbor, it's exciting, right? Like, playing the big house is awesome, but it's cold, man. It's cold when you run out there. So when you run out there, in January 2nd, it's 80 degrees. You're in the Bucks Stadium. It's beautiful. And it's an opportunity. It's a big game. It's a game that you've been preparing for a month, right? So
that's awesome.
It's something that you look forward to, but just being in, again, the weather. For me personally, I would say the weather plays a big role. Being in that heat was awesome.
Being a tight end and having the opportunity to play on the same field as Gronkowski and, Tom Brady, it's got to be just a super special moment. Griffin, can you kind of walk us through kind of just down the back a few years, right? You've been in Illinois 4 years, but coming out of Bloomington High School, coming out, the Big 12, a lot of great athletes and able to stay home and represent your home state. Can you kind of talk about coming out of high school, why you picked Illinois, and then also, if you could, talk about the transformation of you personally coming from a quarterback / athlete, playing tight end and all the way to the bowl game?
Yeah, it's definitely been a long journey, right? Like, so I would say coming out of high school, Coach Smith and Coach Rod Smith, Coach Lovie Smith, obviously. Coach Lovie Smith offered me, and Coach Patterson, like those three, their belief in me, at a younger, how do I word this? At a younger age, I guess, early in my recruitment, they believed in me and they gave me an opportunity to come to the University of Illinois, especially Coach Smith, before Rod and Coach C were already there. They kind of believed in me, and it's actually funny. I probably shouldn't say all this, but I was at an Iowa game. I visited Iowa when Illinois played at Iowa. This would have been my junior year of high school. It was my first Power 5 visit, and Illinois was playing them. And I remember sitting at the game. I told my parents, I said, you know what? No matter what, I will not go to Illinois.
Wow.
Just because of where the program was at. Like,
sure.
I didn't know anything about it. And then Coach Smith came in, and Pat Embleton, those guys all reached out to me about 2 weeks later. And after I met everyone, came down to the campus, I was like, man, let's do it. Let's do something here. So, it's been, I wouldn't change it for the world. The decision I made, and then really, in terms of transferring into a tight end, transforming into a tight end, I would say it's been somewhat of a challenge, but at the same time, there's some things that I have confidence in catching the ball. Right? I think that's one of the best. Like, I can catch the ball. I have confidence in catching the ball. I would say the blocking part and just adjusting to that has been the biggest thing for me. So just staying patient, having an understanding when I came out of high school that, hey, it's going to take some time. It's not going to be a 1 or 2 year thing. It's going to take some time, but knowing that if I do what I need to do, that opportunity will eventually provide itself. And, it's very rewarding feeling right now, just knowing that, I stayed the course and, just kept working and finally got an opportunity.
And I think that's an awesome comment that you just made about the opportunity that you stayed with it, right? Somebody, especially in today's world, right? Today's portal, today's NIL, it's a muddy waters in terms of NCAA athletics right now. But the other part of it is for you all the coaching changes, offensive coordinator changes, head coaching changes, schemes, but yet you stayed true, you stayed with it. And that's something where I'm going to lead up to here is your team looks like you're so together, right? The Illinois football team looks like a band of brothers. I mean, it looks like guys that believe in each other, trust each other. Can you just talk about you and your relationship with the guys? And is that a true statement? I mean, are you guys as close as you appear from the outside looking in?
Man, I'll tell you, my 4 years here, like, this is by far the closest team we've had. I mean, and you have such a mixed group of guys, right? Like, you have guys from South Florida, and then you got Tip from South Dakota, right? But everybody gets together pretty well, and everybody can talk to anybody, right? Like, it's very open. You just feel like, I feel like personally that like I said, everybody is together. And I'm sorry if you guys hear my
dog. No, I love that. That's happened a few times. I think that's one of the best things ever. What's your dog's name?
So that's probably, we have two of them. We got Marty and Mally. I would assume that's Marty. We named him after Marty Bird, Ozark. Yeah, that's probably Marty up there. He's a younger one. He's probably he's getting a little antsy.
He's wanting some airtime, man. Marty's like, put me on the. Well,
yeah, man.
Is Isaiah right now expecting? Is Isaiah right now expecting some time with you? Is he trying to like lean over your shoulder and get on the radio as well?
Yeah.
Trying
to steal your spotlight.
Man, tell me about it. Yeah, I would just say, the team is definitely tight. I would say with my group, I got, I'm really close to everyone. Like, guys that I would have never thought I'd be, really close with, right? Like, I mean, guys like Josh Proops,
sure.
Great locker room dude and Mike Marquez, another guy, like, guys that I, never really would have thought I would have gotten close with, but like, they're my brothers. My roommates, Isaiah and Keith and Shaman, like, love those dudes. And then, even a guy like Tommy, man, who, transferred here for a year, like, my relationship with him is, going to last a lifetime.
It was funny you mentioned Marquez. Mike was on with us last week, and while I was down, I had actually gone to the Buccaneers-Panthers game, and we had gone to a little restaurant called Hat Tricks there in Tampa, and a lot of Illinois fans were coming in. Best wings, by the way, in America, Hat Tricks. I cannot – oh, man, their wings are incredible. But anyway, yeah, the Marquez family walks in, and my youngest son was there with me, and he's like, hey, I think that's Michael. So I walk over because I wanted to shake his hand. I'd never met him, similar to you. Yeah. And I said, hey, Michael, again, thanks for joining us. But in my mind, I was like, that's kind of weird that he's out the night before the game. I mean, it was early, and he goes, it was his twin brother, Henry. He goes, hey, I'm sorry, man, I'm Henry. I'm his twin brother. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But it was fun to visit with him.
Was he wearing an Iowa shirt?
You know what? He wasn't. And I told him that. I said, I'm just glad you weren't wearing your Iowa shirt, my man.
Yeah. I think he was at our practice. Our last practice for the game, he was wearing an Iowa shirt.
Oh, boy. And the dad, Mike's dad played at Iowa. So, yeah, it's an amazing family for sure. Were your parents were your parents able to make it down? And just in general, how cool was the entire week of just being able to celebrate the idea that you guys earned this trip to a bowl game?
It was a good time. I think bowl games are very rewarding for the players. And I would say, especially now that I realize I'm, again, with me being older, I think one of the biggest things for me is just having that extra month to spend with the guys that are going to be here next year. And, even guys, you guys saw Brian Hightower got in the portal today. Like, that's one of my brothers, getting to spend an extra month with him and then, spend that last week with him down in Tampa and just going out and doing different things. They're very rewarding just in that regard of getting to spend time with guys and, again, like older guys, Paucho, Alex Pilstrom. As long ago as it was, I was a freshman with Pill as a tight end. Just like getting to spend time with guys like that you've been around for so long, and then really having that understanding that once you get down to Tampa, that this is the last time you're really going to be around them for, as teammates. Yeah. It was definitely rewarding, and it was a great time. It really was.
I've got a tough one for you, Griffin, a little bit. Griffin Moore. He's all academic, Big Ten. So, anything you throw at it at Griffin Moore, he's going to handle it. Obviously, Lovey came in, and you mentioned he was a big part of you coming to Illinois. And certainly Lovey had his struggles here. Obviously, you guys, like you mentioned, had played in a bowl game out in Santa Clara, I believe, at that San Francisco Stadium. But certainly with Brett Bielema coming in through the door now, and in year 2, you guys almost capture a 9th win in a big bowl game, and you go to a big bowl game. You were in a chance to win a West Division championship. I'm not asking you to compare the guys, but what clicked? Just was it the staff? Is it Coach B in general? Just the players in general? What clicked to where all of a sudden Illinois fans like myself, who have been season ticket holders for years, have sit there now and essentially think, you know what? I think every year going forward we're going to be in a bowl game. That's the confidence that we have in you guys and this coaching staff. But in your mind, what kind of clicked to make it all happen?
Well, I think, at first I'll say I think that confidence that you guys have of, going to a bowl game every year and all that stuff, I think that's a complete reflection of Coach B.
Nice.
I think Coach B is awesome. And I have that same type of confidence, not because of the guys, not because of the players or, I think we have really good players, right? I think we have amazing players, from some of those freshmen, a lot of those freshmen to the older guys. Like, I think we have a ton of amazing guys on the roster that are, their times are coming or their time is here right now. But, I think what I've seen from Coach B these first 2 years, man, has been absolutely amazing. Just in terms of his relentlessness, in terms of like recruiting and, even as much time as he spends in the building, he's there all the time, up in his office, whether it's watching film, recruiting, all that good stuff. So, if I was as a fan of the school, I would say, I would have that same feeling. And then I would say, in terms of the locker room, just when a new coach comes in, for the majority of guys, you have to prove yourself, right? Like, this coach didn't recruit you. These coaches didn't recruit you. They don't know you. So it's really that sense of urgency. I would say a sense of urgency was picked up due to the fact that you have a new coach and you got to prove yourself. So I would say, like, when Coach B got hired, you saw more guys staying late in the building, whether it was getting extra work in the indoor, being in the weight room, or going upstairs and watching film. Like, you saw more guys doing that, and I think part of that was because they wanted it, but also you got a new coach in the building, and you got to prove yourself, right? And so you got to take advantage of the opportunity and don't blow it because you could lose your spot as quick as that.
There you go, all academic, and that shows you why. I mean, he answered that perfectly. All right, I thought of this because you mentioned Coach B's in the building all the time, and I think all he does is wear flip flops. If you were gonna get Coach B a Christmas present, not that he needs it, I think he's gonna be okay on that end. But I mean, would it be flip flops or what are you getting, Coach B?
Absolutely. Either flip flops or a sweatshirt with the hood cut off.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, because is he more of the slide guy or the flip-flop guy?
No, he slides.
Okay,
Slides.
Got it. Yeah.
That's
right. I talked to him one time, and I mentioned, because I'm a reef guy. I'm a reef sandal guy, with the toe. And he was like, no, I'm all about the slides. So,
Slides, man.
That's
all
so
the time. I saw him in the elevator. We were in Tampa, and he had a pair of shoes he was wearing in his hand. For our meeting, he said, I got to go upstairs and put my slides on.
He's like me. I'm telling you what, I'm the same way. I hate wearing shoes. Like, it can be as cold as it is today, and there are times where I'm in flip-flops because I'm like, I just don't like shoes. So I totally get where Coach B's coming from. All right, Jason.
Yeah, I'm on that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
All right, Griff, we're going to shift gears for just a second. I spent some time here in the Champaign Central basketball staff. Coached.
You're going to bring up some rivalries.
I am in the Big 12. I've got we've had Caleb Griffin on, and he talks about how good he is. Obviously, coached against him, and I know his basketball talent. And in my hometown in Gibson City, we got Bryce Barnes, we got Julian Porter all on the same team there as Caleb. And coached, against Keith Randolph, which he had to carry EJ all the way through high school. And so I'm just curious.
Please never say that again.
Please never say that again.
I'm just curious. If you put the team together, you got a one-on-one, 20 guys or whatever the top 25 guys are in the program. They're playing one-on-one basketball. Who's the basketball champion of 2022 University of Illinois football team?
Ooh.
So I would tell you, I don't know. I'm not even going to try to say anything slick. It's Griffin Moore.
I like the confidence. Straight out of Big 12, VHS.
It's funny because I'm going to tell you, we during the break, we went to the Arc and we played some 5-on-5 games and we would get some guys going. A lot of guys you named, right? I mean, almost every guy you named was there. Some other guys too. There's some other guys on the team that can hoop. Isaiah can't shoot the ball to save his life, but he can pass the ball a little bit. Who else? Chase Hayden is actually a pretty good basketball player. Okay. He's okay. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell you, like, one-on-one, because there's no range. You can't set a limit on where I can shoot from. Like, I'll step out the half court if I have to. So.
Well, you're 6'4". I mean, it's not like you're going over Caleb Griffin, right?
Yeah, Caleb is Caleb's solid. I'll give Caleb his props, but me and him compete about everything. I mean, he calls me. His nickname for me is Deuce because he says I have the second best hands on the team behind him. So he knows that. Like, I could never give Caleb full props. I would call Caleb the second best basketball player on the team. But.
So it's Griffin Moore versus Caleb Griffin in the championship
in the title game.
Wow.
I would love. I mean, I might drive to Danville tonight. If I might call him and say, "Tonight, we can get it on tonight."
Of course, Keith Randolph will be sitting there really ticked off that he's not in the championship.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be anymore. You guys got to remember, when he was in high school, he was probably 240 pounds.
Yeah.
200, probably during basketball, he was about 240. Team now, it's a little different.
Right. Hard to move.
Gas tank isn't the same.
Lon and I can relate.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're right there with Keith, but he's so awesome. Well, listen, this has been fantastic. Griffin Moore, of course, a product of Bloomington. It was great watching you at the ReliaQuest Bowl. Congrats to this team in general for taking that next step. I cannot wait to see what the future holds, and obviously there's a lot of question marks between now and then, but certainly it's been a fun process, and here's to seeing more Griffin Moore catches in 2023, my friend.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It was good talking to you guys.
Absolutely, buddy. Thank you so much, Griffin. Great stuff there. Griffin Moore, I love how you're bringing up the Big 12 there, trying to get a little rivalry thing going with Griffin. I mean, what a cool moment. And he mentioned it was a big play. It was 3rd down and long. And, it was in a tight game, obviously, down in Tampa. And all of a sudden, it's like, bam, here's 43. And like you said, just running over guys and getting the first down. And you're like, who? What? And because, I mean, you hadn't seen a lot of him this year, like he said. But certainly I was proud of him for having that catch. I'm sure his parents were in just cloud 9.
Couldn't imagine.
When that hit. I can't either.
Him being a high school athlete, high school quarterback, right?
Yes.
He's used to seeing the field. He's been taught how to read everything. And he mentioned that. He mentioned how he saw it. He saw the alignment. He gave DeVito the head nod of, hey, I'm going to be open. Give me the ball. And then, DeVito delivered and caught it, as he said, right? I mean, having the confidence just to snag the football and take it upfield and get that first down. And what a well-spoken young man.
He's incredible.
He's going to be a leader for sure. And whatever he does in life, as he gets out of college and continues on. But what a great interview, great young man, great leader.
Yeah. Nickname Griff, by the way, which adds even more to my dog story. I mean, Griff was my man. He was my man. Griffin Moore listed as a sophomore, so hopefully we'll see some more of him. Obviously, that tight end room is changing a little bit. Marquez will be out. Tip Ryman will be back. I don't know that we've officially heard about Luke Ford yet. But I assume that he would be moving on and hoping for the draft. And obviously, Brett Bielema right now is having kind of exit interviews with all these players. Of course, the news today, Vertus Brown, Brian Hightower, at least those two that we know of, have entered the portal. Obviously, Brian Hightower last year expected some big things out of him, and he was injured a lot of the season. This season, he had a good season, and you saw kind of what you were hoping for out of him. So unfortunately, though, Hightower maybe. I mean, obviously Casey Washington did this and actually went to Wake Forest, and then it didn't work out with his the transcripts and such. So now he came back and was an integral part of this team as well. And then of course Vertus Brown, who you just kind of always waiting for to kind of click on that offensive line, and then switched over to defensive line. So we'll see. A lot of question marks, obviously, for next season. You got a new quarterback in Luke Altmaier. How much confidence, Jason Thompson, does that give you in terms of nailing down a quarterback of Luke Altmaier, who obviously hasn't had a lot of, I'll put it this way. His resume is almost similar to like what Art Sitkowski brought here. I mean, a 4 or 5 star guy, probably 4.
4-star.
And a guy that, highly sought after, but hadn't played a lot at where he was. And look, I mean, nothing. Art had his moments, right? But certainly they wanted another quarterback this season. They brought Tommy DeVito in. You saw what he did. And, of course, Sitkowski now is going to be a coach, which is awesome. And I think he's going to be an unbelievable coach. From talking to anybody that knows him and talking to guys that cover this team, they're like, oh, it's a no-brainer for Sitkowski to be a coach. He'll be incredible. But, I'm not meaning that Altmaier is going to be Art Sitkowski. Hopefully he'll be better in terms of the results on the field. But certainly, it's a guy that's unproven a little bit. Though when you throw him in the against LSU in a Sugar Bowl and he does okay, I think that tells me a little bit of something about Luke Altmaier. But certainly he's a guy that has 3 years left, so that's nice. You don't have to just have another 1-year thing and move on and keep doing that. That's hard to do. So what were your thoughts when Altmaier decided yes to Illinois?
Well, a couple things. They announced today, it was rumored that Swanson, the quarterback that's on this recruiting class, was going to enroll early. So as Mr. Moore said, one thing that Coach Bielema has brought is the level of competition.
That's
right?
awesome.
So bringing these guys in and having that competition, having guys every day have to earn it, is going to bring the best out of everybody, right? When you know every day that you're working for that position or it's going to be taken, where in the years past, maybe the drop-off was so big that even if you were mediocre, you were still going to stay in the lineup, right? Or you were still going to get the opportunity.
Great point.
Every Saturday. And now we continue to recruit, continue to stack guys, continue to develop guys. Pretty solid. Also, I was able to talk to a couple of Ole Miss fans and big-time supporters of Ole Miss. They love the guy. They love Altmaier.
That's cool.
They actually, it was one of those things where as a fan, they kind of felt like Altmaier was going to be their guy for the next 3 years.
Interesting.
And then Dart comes in, beats him out, in the eyes of the staff, and obviously Lane Kiffin knows how to throw the ball around, and that was his decision. So anybody that's had a year or two with, Lane Kiffin has the opportunity to come to Champaign, potentially bring somebody with them. You never know. These guys are all connected, right?
Never thought of that.
If with Hightower, if he decides to stay in the portal and ends up going somewhere else, maybe there's a spot open, and maybe he's trying to bring somebody with him, right? I think that having him for 3 years is unbelievable.
I agree.
And you nailed it with Art. I mean, he's been here. He's sat here. He's gone through some, trials and tribulations on the field, off the field, injuries. He's going to be an unbelievable resource for a guy coming into Champaign, right? He did it. He came in, he transferred from Rutgers. He'll understand the landscape and the dynamic of what Illinois football is. He'll understand how to ease him into it, get him comfortable. And let's face it, we all play our best. We all work our best when we're in an environment where it's, understood rather than a lot of nerve-wracking experiences.
Yeah, the unknowns can be nerve-wracking. You're
For
right,
sure.
like, as you're saying.
As a young guy coming in, doesn't know anybody from Mississippi. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Having a guy like Art right there to introduce him day one and take him under his wing is going to be fantastic.
That's awesome. We've had a lot of people text in that Luke Ford announced for the draft, so that's my fault. I thought he had, but I just wanted to make sure on that, and I knew our great listeners would chime in on the U of I Illini Lake text line. It was great to visit with Griffin Moore there on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance Roll phone line. Also, Derek Piper, we did that in the first hour. We've had a couple of people, text in like, hey, forgot about the show starting early today at 3, or why the change? I know a couple of guys have texted me and also reached out on Twitter saying, this is sweet. I get off at 3, etc. So, I'll throw it out there. This is my fault. If you don't like it, it's my fault. But I had approached, I talked to Derek, of course, first, and then I had approached Stevie and said, Andrew, who's a sophomore in high school and is playing a lot of basketball and baseball, and I just wanted to be able to catch more of his games, and it's tricky. Last night, I think officially he's now only playing varsity in basketball, but the JV games started at 5:30, and coach even said, look, there's going to be games where we let him come back down to the JV level and play a little bit as well, but we want to get him on this varsity team and get what he needs to get done there. And then baseball-wise, unless something goes drastically wrong, hopefully he'll be playing some varsity ball there as well, and those games start at 4:30, and it's just, I've got 2.5 years left with him, and then that's it. I don't have any other kids. So it's just, I was able to make it work a lot when Trevor was still here. Trevor was a huge part of this. Obviously, for many years, he and Harry Black and others would be able to fill in when I had to leave to go catch Lucas golf or do whatever. And now with Andrew, without having Trevor here, without having that third guy here, it really makes it hard. And it kept me up at night, honestly, thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? So I approached Stevie and I said, look, I hate to do this. I feel like radio's changed a little bit. We call it drive time. And it used to be between, 5 and 6. That's when people got off work because for the most part, Jason, everybody listened to the radio in terms of in their car. Now, I still think there are a lot of people that do that. I love talk radio. It's about the only thing I listen to. On occasion, I'll listen, obviously, to Christmas music because Rob, our great, our gentleman here in town, he loves me singing Christmas music when I come in, Rob Stone. But I love talk radio, and so it's one of those where I think now with podcasts, you can listen to it anytime you want. I'll have people tweet. They'll send a tweet to Derek and I at 8 in the morning saying, hey, I'm getting my morning run in, just hearing last night's show, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like that 5 to 6 time slot what used to be a lot bigger than what it is now. But the good news is we are going to make sure we've got content there as well because we're going to re-air the 3 to 4 hours. So if you missed it at 3, you're still going to get your 2 hours every day of the drive, and that's the most important part. And I can't thank Stevie enough for giving me the opportunity to do this because, Jason, you've got 2 daughters that both play athletics and other things as well. And it's truly, there's not a close second to watching my boys play sports. There's nothing out there. Arizona Cardinals games, St. Louis Cardinals games, Bud Light, go down the list of everything I love. There is not a close second to me watching my boys play sports. And the idea that I've got 2.5 years left, and then I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I honestly am going to have to I'm just going to have to, I don't want to physically adopt someone, but I'm going to have to call buddies that have younger kids and be like, all right, give me the schedule of your kids because I'm coming to watch them play because I can't just sit. I got to do something, to do that. And you were nice enough to come watch Andrew play last night in basketball. And I know even though he's not your son, you had a good time, watching him and living through me essentially during the game. So I just appreciate the idea that we're able to do this. I'm really excited about it. Not going to lie, it'll be great to be off at 5 as well. I've been doing this for 11 years till 6. But Stevie giving us the chance, Rob Stone doing everything he can behind the scenes to make it happen. I just can't thank enough people. And Derek Piper, the other side of this, is going to be able to spend more quality time at night with his son Cade, who is a youngster, a baby basically. But as he gets older, he'll have activities as well. So that's why we made the change, and I'm a happy man for it. I'm happy.
Well, and like you said, the window is so small, right?
It is.
And every parent approaches that date, right, where it starts shrinking in. You realize it's now, and so it'll be Derek in a few years. He'll be like, Cade was just a year old, and all of a sudden now he's a sophomore in high school. And so
it's true.
Tip of the cap to Stevie J for allowing that because just having that opportunity with your kid, it's unbelievable. And I've said this my whole life, just like you just stated. There's nothing better than watching your kids compete.
It's amazing.
And even if they're not, elite athletes, like you have on the radio every day.
Yep.
It's just really fun, and you'll find your spot in some gymnasium next to some old buddy every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Don't get me wrong. So
it's so true. I mean, I can even think back. I know we got to catch a break here. I can think back to Lucas's senior year of golf in the sectional. He was trucking along at like 1 over, and I'm like, he's going to make state. I mean, this is going to be awesome. And then he had one hole that it just kind of everything went wrong, and it kind of knocked him down. And I think in my mind, I knew probably now he wasn't going to make it. And I can recall I was way back, and I was basically in the fairway or a little bit off of it as he was finishing up 18, knowing it was his last high school golf event, and I was crying. I mean, the emotions came over me because I knew how much it meant to him. I knew how much time he spent at Stone Creek back in the day when, he'd be like, hey, Dad, can you pick me up after your radio show because I'm going to go putt for 2 hours and hit balls, So I'm like, well, I'll pick you up at 6:45 because I better have a cold beer while I'm there. And make sure I'm watching over the ledge to make sure you're doing everything correct. Yeah, right. I let him do his golf thing, believe me. He didn't want me messing that up. But, yeah, it means a lot to you. And that's the beautiful thing about it is I don't know if the majority is the right word, but so many people that listen to the show have children. And whether it be in band, whether it be in chorus, whether it be in theatrical, whatever. I mean, when they perform, it is just something that, as a parent, you can't explain. You can't explain.
No doubt about it.
And for me to be able to do that, there's not a lot of things in life that have meant more than this decision to switch to this. And I know Stevie understands that. I'm not trying to suck up to him right now, but certainly for he and Pipes to be able to go along with that, and hopefully for the listeners as well. I just thank you from the bottom of my heart because it's going to lead to me seeing a lot. It's going to lead to me yelling a lot of why'd you take a called third, or why were you doing junior high passes like last night? Why was he doing that?
You might be getting some text to the drive text here from referees and officials the next 3 years saying, hey, Lon, take it easy on us.
Exactly. I did say something last night. I try not to ever mention anything to the officials, but when it's your son or daughter, obviously, then it's an automatic foul, right? But Andrew he had a steal, and he made kind of a spin move, and it felt like there was a little bit of body there, but there was no call. So then they come down the other way, and there was a call on us, and it didn't feel like it was that bad of a call, and the official standing right there, and I'm like, seemed like there was a lot of body on the other end, and a lot is 2 words. And he didn't look at me.
He didn't look at you, but the rest of the crowd did. You got a good chuckle out of the all St. Thomas More fans. So
I was like, come on, call that. I'm very, very appreciative of officials, believe me. Very. And I understand, what's going on with that, too. And those guys did an unbelievable job last night. I mean, I don't know how they do it on a daily basis with the elite athletes that they see and even just the good athletes that they're out there working around. All right, when we come back, we got an Illinois game tonight. With Illinois and Northwestern, we got a couple snippets from Brad Underwood, and you and I will give our thoughts on what's going to happen in Evanston. We'll do it all next. It is one last thing, Jason. You're going to like this, too. I'm going to put a little music with it because this is exciting. You're a Cardinals baseball fan. January 13. That is Friday, January 13. The iHotel and Conference Center is going to be hosting the Cardinal Caravan, and our radio station has brought this to Champaign, and we are so proud of this. I know Stevie has a great time there as the MC of that, and it's fun for me to go and be able to talk to some of the players. We don't know yet who's coming on the 13th, or I haven't looked at least, but the doors open at 11 a.m. at the iHotel. Noon will be the program. It's free. And the kids can come and they can bring an item and get it autographed. So now if you're an adult, Jason, you can't. I apologize, but you're not allowed to bring an autograph, to bring an item to be autographed. But for kids, they can do that. And obviously, it's free to the public. The Cardinals Caravan, January 13. Again, doors open at 11. Program is at 9. It's always kind of cool because the players get there about 11:30, and we're able to take them back and get some interviews with them, and then they go out and address the crowd. It's just a cool thing, man. It's a great thing to do. So make sure you check that out, January 13th. All right, quick break. It is The Drive.
It's 2023. That means it'll be time for the St. Louis Cardinal Caravan coming to the iHotel and Conference Center on Friday, January 13th. Doors open at 11. The program begins at noon. You get a chance for autographs with the first preference going to children. Free to everyone. It's the Cardinal Caravan with players and broadcasters and alumni. It's all coming to the iHotel and Conference Center the 13th of January, 11 a.m. doors open, noon for the program. The Cardinal Caravan 2023. Have you been to Pards in Urbana? Well, you need to go to Pards in Urbana. Here's what people are saying. Great customer service, friendly staff. They treat you like family. I love Pards. I was very impressed. Great service, very neat store. I was greeted and asked if they could help me. That's why you should go. Check them out. It's Pards in Urbana. They're between University and Maine. It's on Maple, Pards in Urbana, or visit pards.com. Pards.com.
Hi, this is Amanda Jean, the founder and planner of Inspire Your Wedding and Events. After the big yes, are you daydreaming about the big I do? Join us for a premier, interactive, immersive, inspirational wedding showcase to bring together vendors and couples from all over Central Illinois for your big day. Come away with ideas and vendors that will make your wedding one of the most inspiring days of your life. Sunday, March 26th from 2 to 5 at Carmen's. For complete details, visit inspireyour.com. That's inspireyour.com.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Give us your best shot and enter the 2023 Best in Show Photographic Print Competition. Urbana Park District and the Champaign County Camera Club are putting on the 22nd annual competition. This is a great opportunity to have amateur photographers to enter a contest and have their photos judged. The photos will be on display at Lincoln Square from February 5th through the 12th. For more information, please call Janet at the Urbana Park District at 217-384-4062. Learn more at urbanaparks.org.
PDR Automotive in Urbana has been providing quality auto repair service for almost 50 years. Trusted by AAA Motor Club, PDR employs ASE certified technicians that use the latest in diagnostic equipment. They offer nationwide warranties and are even authorized to perform vehicle maintenance that won't void your factory warranty. Check them out 24/7 online at pdrauto.com. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Thinking of selling your home? Today's market is crazy, but one way you can be sure to stand out is by replacing your old flooring with new hardwood. And the best place to do it is Carpet Weavers in Champaign. Carpet Weavers boast the industry's best brands, including Shaw, Mohawk, Paramount, and more. When it comes to natural beauty and a rich quality, nothing beats new flooring from Carpet Weavers. And they have financing options for your budget, so you can always afford the floor you truly want. Increase the value of your home by installing new, high-quality options from Carpet Weavers. Find out more online at carpetweaversflooring.com.
Hi, this is Kirk Lehman with Aftershock Decals and Design, and right now we are looking for an honest, hardworking individual that wants a career with Aftershock Decals and Design. If you have any kind of experience wrapping vehicles, tinting windows, we want you.
You can't touch this.
No, not that kind of wrapper.
You can't touch this.
Please go to our website at aftershockdd.com, click on the Jobs tab, and send in your resume. We want you. aftershockdd.com.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Oh, boy, I hit the wrong. That is the football theme, and I'm not talking football right now. Hey, it is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. Lon Tay. Jason Thompson joining me today. I appreciate you doing this, man.
What a fun day.
Well, I appreciate it. It was funny because you're like, hey, you guys are still right across from Meyer, right? I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot to tell you we're in Philo now. So, listen, thank you. This has been awesome that you've come down. We had a chance to talk to Derek Piper and Griffin Moore, Illinois tight end, Dick Van Dyke Appliance Roll phone line. For some reason, I can't say that today. All right, we have some Brad Underwood. And really, one of the things that they were asking today is Sky Clark, who did not play in the Bethune-Cookman game, but it does sound like Sky would have been able to play in that one, and he is good to go tonight.
Coach, follow up on Sky. Is he just returning recently, or how's that progression been for him with the shoulder?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it probably could have played, in the if it was an NCAA tournament game or, could have played in the Bethune game. There was no need in that game to jeopardize anything. We got it healthy. It's not the first time he has dinged that up a little bit. He's got a little shoulder brace that he's playing with, like Trent played with last year, but he's been really solid.
One more to follow up.
Well, no, not one more, Derek Piper. Sorry. Pipes had asked about the Northwestern defense, but the one thing that I had mentioned is about Luke Goody. Now, there is a follow-up to this one regarding Luke Goody and when he's going to be ready, but Brad was asked yesterday about how important being 0-2 in the Big Ten, how important is this game? Is this an urgent game?
No more so than any other game. I think, it's not ideal being 0-2. There's no doubt. But, we played Maryland when they were hotter than, as hot as anybody in the country. It goes to show the ebbs and flows of what a season can be. But you got to treat every game independently and know that it's a very long season. Everybody's going to go through some sort of up and down in the course of a season. It happens every year. And we don't want it to continue, but you got to fight, you got to grow and not put any more emphasis on any one game.
And how is Luke Goody kind of progressing along, and do you anticipate him coming back for you, pretty soon?
That'll be, the doctors will determine that when he goes back. He's in a shoe. He's doing all the conditioning stuff, all the stuff that he's allowed to do. And, he's progressing quite nicely. And then when he goes back here in a week and a half, then we'll see what the doctor says to start, putting him out there and in practice if that's what they think.
I'm ready to see Luke Goody.
I mean, when you look at Brad Underwood, you think Luke Goody, right?
Yeah, right.
A guy's going to get on the floor for a loose ball. A guy's going to get a rebound. A guy's going to hustle, knock down an open shot. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but it's kind of what Illinois is missing right now.
That's a great
is that
point.
Guy.
That's a great point. And he'll get in your face.
Without doubt, he's an intensity guy, competitor, was a high school quarterback, wants to win, right? I mean, he's a glue guy.
I still remember the play last year, Jason, and I don't remember the game. I can't be that specific, but he grabbed an offensive rebound underneath the basket as he was falling out of bounds, and he threw it into a player. And I think Illinois then took a timeout or they scored or something. And I remember the game. Somebody took a timeout. Maybe we scored and they took one. But I just remember the crowd loved it, and it was just that tenacity of Luke Goody to go get that ball. So I'm with you. I think you summed that up great. I think this is exactly what this Illinois team needs right now. I mean, the vibe is off, as Pipe said, and maybe that gets back tonight. But, you talk about trying to get back into, you're only 0-2. It's not the end of the world, and especially when Purdue loses. Brad Underwood was asked about just the Big Ten in general and just the gauntlet that you go through in this conference.
I think that the one thing that is been very true in my time here, this is year 6, anybody can beat anybody. And it doesn't matter if you're just off center a little bit, you're going to lose. And it doesn't matter what you're ranked. It doesn't matter what your record is. You look at Maryland. When we played them, I thought they were as good as a team in the country. And Michigan had just lost to Central Michigan, who was in the 300s. And, turn around and just, if you get off a little bit and teams play hard and inspired, you can get beat. That's what makes this league very, very challenging every night. It's toughness, and it's your ability to go win on the road because you are tough and because you defend.
All right, Jason, you asked me off the air earlier. How about Michigan and Hunter Dickinson? Now, he went off 32 points in their second game, and Michigan won big by like 40 over, was that Maryland?
Yes.
Yes. But then he called Wisconsin a bunch of basically scumbags.
That's correct.
Can I ask you this? Maybe it's NIL. I don't know. Why does Juwan Howard let Hunter Dickinson join these podcasts and do what he does?
I mean, it's been the last 2 years. He's definitely put his foot in his mouth. Part of that, maybe Howard likes that he brings that to it.
That's a great point.
And he loves his swagger. He loves his confidence, and the team feeds off that.
Yeah.
Right now, Central Michigan just beat, Michigan, and so he goes on this podcast after a big win against Maryland and wants to get the rivalry fired up. I don't know.
That is true. Look, we have Luke Goody. By the way, we have Luke Goody on tomorrow at 4:05. I guess if Luke came out and said that, I'd be like, whoa. But I can't imagine Brad Underwood and that crew would be that happy about
I think that'd be Luke Goody's last conversation on the drive.
Brad's like, Lon, I don't listen to your show often, but boy, when I did not like what I heard, and you're done with Luke. That's so true. Jason, I can't thank you enough. You're awesome, man.
What a great opportunity to be back with you and be on the show again for a day, and it was awesome, man. Really appreciate it.
Everybody out there has no idea how lucky they are because we almost had you, John Wagner, and Joel Beasley. We would have been talking soccer. Who knows what Beasley would talk about?
Well, I know that Wagner would be asking you about the opportunity to get a Cardinals autograph. So that's for sure. He'd want to know if he could go in front of the kids. He'd get a whole room full of Cardinals gear.
By the way, Stevie texted me and said, tell Jason he can get a big boy autograph. It's just that the kids get to go first.
Well, I might get that for John for his birthday.
I love that. Of course, he is a big Cubs fan.
Absolutely.
By the way. All right, Jason, great stuff there. Thanks to Derek Piper. Thanks to Griffin Moore, who joined us on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line. Great stuff. All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow. We'll chat then. Jason, thanks again. It is The Drive.
Thinking of selling your home? Today's market is crazy, but one way you can be sure to stand out is by replacing your old flooring with new hardwood. And the best place to do it is Carpet Weavers in Champaign. Carpet Weavers boast the industry's best brands, including Shaw, Mohawk, Paramount, and more. When it comes to natural beauty and a rich quality, nothing beats new flooring from Carpet Weavers. And they have financing options for your budget, so you can always afford the floor you truly want. Increase the value of your home by installing new, high-quality options from Carpet Weavers. Find out more online at carpetweaversflooring.com.
PDR Automotive in Urbana is a locally owned repair shop, and they've now serviced over 250,000 vehicles in their near 50-year history. That's more than 4 times the size of a sold-out Memorial Stadium. It's more than all Division I athletes in the country combined. That's more than the entire population of Champaign County. That's more than, well, you get the idea. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
New travel plans for the president. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Biden telling reporters he intends to visit the southern border as part of a trip to Mexico City next week for meetings with the Mexican and Canadian leaders, though details are still being worked out. He has long faced Republican-led criticism for not visiting the border during a record surge of migrants, which continues. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas speaking to Washington Post Live.
We're operating within a system that is fundamentally broken. No one disagrees with that. We just can't seem to agree upon the solution, and a solution is long, long overdue.
Also saying again that they are preparing for the eventual end of Title 42, a pandemic-related restriction on asylum seekers. The president's comments coming on a visit to Kentucky, using infrastructure as a marker of bipartisanship, alongside Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell on a bridge in his home state.
I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish working together.
In the House, Republicans, now holding a slim majority, are still trying to elect a speaker. President Biden calls that embarrassing for the country.
You know, to be able to have a Congress that can't function is just embarrassing. We're the greatest nation in the world. How can that be?
The House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy has fallen short of the votes needed in 5 ballots so far, with a group of conservatives opposing him. The mastermind of a college admissions cheating scheme just sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. Rich Singer getting the longest time behind bars in the bribery scandal that swept up some of the nation's most prestigious universities and a slew of wealthy parents, including celebrities, who paid to buy their kids' way into top-tier schools. Prosecutors wanted 6 years for Singer, whose cooperation helped unravel the scheme. The Dow up 133 at the bell. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
New travel plans for the president. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Biden telling reporters he intends to visit the southern border as part of a trip to Mexico City next week for meetings with the Mexican and Canadian leaders, though details are still being worked out. He has long faced Republican-led criticism for not visiting the border during a record surge of migrants, which continues. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas speaking to Washington Post Live.
We're operating within a system that is fundamentally broken. No one disagrees with that. We just can't seem to agree upon the solution, and a solution is long, long overdue.
Also saying again that they are preparing for the eventual end of Title 42, a pandemic-related restriction on asylum seekers. The president's comments coming on a visit to Kentucky, using infrastructure as a marker of bipartisanship, alongside Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell on a bridge in his home state.
I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish working together.
In the House, Republicans, now holding a slim majority, are still trying to elect a speaker. President Biden calls that embarrassing for the country.
You know, to be able to have a Congress that can't function is just embarrassing. We're the greatest nation in the world. How can that be?
The House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy has fallen short of the votes needed in 5 ballots so far, with a group of conservatives opposing him. The mastermind of a college admissions cheating scheme just sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. Rich Singer getting the longest time behind bars in the bribery scandal that swept up some of the nation's most prestigious universities and a slew of wealthy parents, including celebrities, who paid to buy their kids' way into top-tier schools. Prosecutors wanted 6 years for Singer, whose cooperation helped unravel the scheme. The Dow up 133 at the bell. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
Scientists in Wisconsin sounding the alarm about a plume of toxic chemicals seeping through the groundwater into Lake Michigan's Green Bay.
University of Wisconsin researchers say they've detected 17 different PFAS compounds, or per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances in Lake Michigan's Green Bay that are widely used in consumer products from nonstick cookware to fire extinguishing foams. Scientists say groundwater and streams are also contaminated, pointing to the Tyco Fire Products plant in Marinette, Wisconsin, that was sued by the state last year over PFAS contamination. Tyco saying in a statement that it welcomes the Green Bay study and that it's invested tens of millions of dollars to address pollution.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. PFAS compounds have been found in all 5 Great Lakes. 3 days of public viewing are coming to an end at the Vatican for Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI.
Some felt visiting the former Pope was a duty. For others on long-planned vacations, it was a surprise opportunity to make a unique connection.
It's a special time for me, but it's very strange.
It felt really quiet, really calm.
My mom is very excited to be here today. She has goosebumps.
Earlier, Pope Francis praised his predecessor at his weekly general audience. He talked about Benedict's acute and gentle thought. Francis will preside over Thursday's Mass before heads of state, royalty, and an estimated 60,000 spectators. Benedict died aged 95, the first pope to resign for 600 years. In Rome, Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The European Union is now strongly encouraging its member states to impose pre-departure COVID testing of passengers from China, stopping short of a mandate after a week of talks. It's a move already criticized by the global airline industry, and China has rejected such actions, warning of countermeasures if such policies are imposed across the bloc. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny.
Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I am in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These strong presentations aren't over! I didn't come here to go 5-7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now.
I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielma.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's The Drive.
Smack dogs.
Thunderstruck!
Good morning, everybody. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. Lante. No Derek Piper today. He's going to be in Evanston, obviously, tonight for the Illinois Northwestern basketball game. Talking about a game you need to win. Let's go. We will discuss all that. We'll hear a little bit from Brad Underwood as we go along today. We will hear from Derek Piper around 3:20 or 3:25, right in that area. We'll join him, and he can give us his take and his thoughts on this Illinois game tonight at being played at Evanston, the old super sectional place up at Evanston that I like to say. I want to welcome in our guest co-host today. And it is a guy that most everybody in Champaign-Urbana and Gibson City, especially the home of, they all know Jason Thompson. But there's a funny story behind you being here today, and I'll get to that here in a second. But what's up, buddy?
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'm going to have you get a little closer to that microphone. Yep, pull that in. There we go. Happy New Year to you. You weren't down in Florida with me, man.
No, I was not. But, man, Illinois represented Lion Nation. We're in full. Every picture, every video.
It's incredible.
Incredible.
It was incredible. I know that probably good for Andrew that you weren't down in Florida with me, because he would have probably spent a lot more time in areas where, in bars, he'd be like, can we go? Like, can we go do something?
He was definitely looking forward to some father time, right?
Yes.
Some bonding on the beach. I get it.
And we had a great time with that. I joined Pipes yesterday and kind of talked a little bit about that. What an experience for he and I. Went to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, watched them win the South Division, which wasn't that difficult, I don't think, this year. But certainly Mike Evans showed out, 3 touchdowns. Brady, if that's, that's the only time I've seen Tom Brady live, and he goes for 3 touchdowns. And who knows, that might be one of his last games ever.
Those 50-yard line tickets that you got might be your season tickets from now on if Tom Brady finds out how good of luck you and Andrew were.
I never thought of that. That's not a bad idea. I'll get him involved, see if he can help us out with that. I got to brag about our fantasy football. Nobody likes to talk fantasy football, and I totally get that. But I got to brag about this before I tell the story about you. Who is the young man for the Buffalo Bills that was injured? Man, I'm missing his name. All right, and I apologize. I'll Google that, and I apologize. I know it's on the tip of my tongue. Somebody will send that in to me. His charity right now.
It's unbelievable.
It's like over $6 million has been raised, and it was gifts for kids, I believe, for Christmas. And so everybody has stepped up and done that, and I just think it's wonderful. So today, because of the game being suspended, I was in the championship with a gentleman, Steve Breitweiser, who a lot of people probably remember was on at WA&D, kind of took the spot of me when I left WA&D, to join the insurance business. But Steve sent out a group text to everybody and said, I got an idea. He goes, why don't we donate? Now, it's not a lot. It's $150, right? But he said, why don't we donate our fantasy football winnings to his charity?
That's incredible.
And that's what we're going to do. So
DeMar Hamlin.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for looking that up. So I texted back and I was like, let's just be co-champs. It's not the regular season, but it's the playoffs. I said, Steve, you and I will be co-champs. We'll share the belt, which will be kind of a cool thing, and then we'll donate that money. So I'm proud of us.
That's incredible.
Proud of all of us for doing that. So maybe an idea for everybody out there doing fantasy, and you're in the same kind of situation we were, where what are we doing? Do we wait for this game to be played? How do we do this? Because I think I had like a 100-point lead, but he had Burrow and Chase, and in our league, 100 points is doable.
Sure.
Which I won't go into it. All right, the story about you and I. So when we started this radio show, and I'm talking, it was called Connect FM in 2010, and that was over on Staley Drive. We started over there. Stevie J, of course, started the FM talk radio, which is very uncommon in America, essentially. And he started this program. So Jeremy Warner was decided that he would be my sidekick, obviously, but he couldn't be there the first week at Illinois University. So we had day one with just me. And I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know if I want to talk for 3 hours by myself. That might be hard. I can talk a lot. People know that, but that might be too much. So you came in and were with me on day one of this radio station back in November of 2010.
Yeah, it was quite an incredible day.
Crazy.
I had my daughters listening like in the car all night, trying to get a glimpse of Dad on the radio. And the funniest part about that day and that memory was literally we didn't know how anything worked yet, right?
Right.
His first day, you had the board, and you're like, I'm going to go to break and play this song. It's like, what number do you want? Throw a number out. Boom. It's like Bad to the Bone comes on, right? Or whatever. So what a great opportunity. Steve J is obviously very well known in the area.
Absolutely.
A legend on the radio. And so cool opportunity. We had a ACC Big Ten Challenge game that night, and we're giving out the number for people to call in with their predictions for Illinois games. So it was great.
we don't do as much call-ins anymore because of the text line.
Sure.
And obviously the U of I Landing Lake text line is awesome. We will hear from Derek Piper on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. We'll hear from Derek Piper on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line. Also, we're going to visit with Griffin Moore. And if you're like, wait, why do I know that name? He had a catch in the ReliaQuest Bowl and is a younger tight end on this team, so he's kind of part of the future. So he's going to join us at 4:05. I'm excited to talk to Griffin and get his thoughts on his first catch. As I was watching the game, we had pretty good seats down by the field, and boom, here's 43 across the middle, and I'm like, no, wait, who is that? And the guy behind me, who I had been visiting with most of the game, had a program.
Sure.
And I'm like, can you remind me who 43 is? And he's like, Griffin Moore. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a Bloomington kid. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's perfect. So I think that was his first catch of the year.
Yeah, he's a great athlete. You know,
Yes.
he was a quarterback at Bloomington High School.
That's
So
right.
That shows you what kind of athlete he is, and
Wow.
you know, what they were trying to recruit in that position. And so he, Big 12 guy, right? Played against Caleb Griffin and the guys from Danville, right? Played against those guys, and you know, Champaign Central and Centennial. And,
I love it.
Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to hear. And basketball guy, so quick feet. Be interested to ask him who the best basketball player on the team is. That's definitely a question I have dialed up for him.
Oh,
so.
I like this.
Yeah.
I like that idea. We'll definitely do that. So we'll do that at 4:05. Again, if you're listening to us right now, you're probably thinking, why am I hearing this show right now? But as we mentioned yesterday, we are starting, and a big nod to Stevie J, who is actually in the room right now to my left. He has no idea how much this means to me, but obviously, Jason, you've got a couple of daughters that are very active in sports and very active in general with other things, and you don't want to miss that. I mean, you know, as a father or a mother, as a parent, essentially, you want to be there for your children whenever they are doing something. And I'm very fortunate that Andrew is involved heavily in basketball and baseball. And unfortunately, it's just tricky times with regards to when our radio station, when the radio show plays, and especially baseball, because it's, you know, we know how that is. 4:30 starts when it's snowing and raining. You know, those were always fun days.
No lights.
No, you're right. Exactly. No lights. Just go get out there and hit. I know it's 20 degrees. So I had kind of approached Stevie and said, is there any chance we could push the show up an hour to 3 to 5? And he obliged. So today's the day one of that. So Jason, you're part of every milestone. Every milestone, right, that has happened at our station. Basically, Jason Thompson, you're like Rich Hall back in the day in Saturday Night Live that was always in every picture. Do you remember that? Probably not.
I'll take it. We'll
have to Google that and show you what that's all about. But yeah, so what we're going to do is our first hour, which we're doing right now, we will then replay from 5 to 6. So for a lot of people probably listening to us or hearing us from 3 to 5, or I'm sorry, from 3 to 4, in other words, they're probably still at work. So we understand that. So we're going to replay from 5 to 6. So it'll be like you didn't miss anything. And for those that podcast and such, you're still going to get your 2 hours of Tay and Pipes. So really appreciate the patience of everybody and excited that we're going to do this, because essentially it was a very selfish act on my part, but it's going to allow me to see more of Andrew. And I've got, 2.5 more years to see him. You were there last night. You came and watched him last night, which I appreciated.
I did. It was fun.
That was awesome. That's a very good Mount Zion team as well.
Good.
So
Young, exciting team.
Very young. Yeah, that team's one to look for in the future for sure. All right, so back to Jason, though. Why did you join me the first day we ever did a radio show?
Yeah, so in that time of my life, I was the first publisher for Illinois 24/7 Sports.
That's unbelievable.
A ton has changed in that dynamic, right? 24/7 Sports was owned by Shane and Terry at that time. They didn't have anyone covering Illinois. One of the gentlemen that was signed up, as publisher for a lot of sites for him, I was friends with, had the opportunity to take that contract, and it was awesome. So once the show had started, I kind of became the resident Illinois recruiting guy for basketball and football. And
it's unreal.
At that time, right, I was able to really have a strong connection with Ron Zook and his staff, and so it was a lot of fun. And obviously things have changed a ton. Shane and Terry isn't even part of that platform anymore. It has another platform that's now a competitor, and you have Jeremy Warner just absolutely crushing it.
Yeah.
And, you look at the stats from when they started. Literally we're trying to get anyone and everyone just to even know what it was, right?
It's crazy.
You had Rivals and you had Scouts,
right,
and you had all these other platforms that people were going to, and kind of cool to look back and realize that 24/7 Sports is probably the leader in all recruiting now, and just the levels that Jeremy and the team has taken it to is unbelievable.
They really have, and I don't mind bragging because for a long time we had Brad Sturdy on,
for sure,
who is now he's part of the. See, I'm still confused by everything. Not confused. I still
he's
don't.
Illini guys.
Illini guys. That's exactly right. So Brad, great friend of mine,
of course,
played a lot of fast pitch against him. He struck me out basically every time.
He says that every time I see him.
Yeah, I think I grounded out once.
No, he didn't say that. He
Well, that's a lie then. That's a bold-faced lie by Sturdy. But obviously, you have Illini guys. You've got the rivals. You've got all of that. But really, if you look at it, so Jeremy does the 24/7 platform. So does Derek Piper. Obviously, works for that. Yes. Illini Inquirer. You were the first one essentially to cover Illinois for that.
Correct.
That is crazy. Do you ever regret not continuing on with it?
It definitely exploded in terms of how they did their contracts, how they did paid publishers, how the network grew. I mean, we were in beta stages when it launched.
Right.
I mean, the calls were coming out. We'd have our daily call. We'd have our daily emails. And you talk about, having people call into the show versus text line now, right? Things are so advanced today and so much better. All the web opportunities. And like I said, where the contracts are today versus then, it was literally like, click this link. If it crashes, shoot us a note. You can't get a video to upload. Send it to us. We'll let everybody know.
Oh my goodness.
Photos can't go, right? And we were going to like Camper and Tool first year, right? Nothing would load. Nothing would work. No connectivity. It was like, holy cow. But you're talking about you as a father, and that was really the play for me. Was my girls were little,
right?
And you got to give Brad and Jeremy and Piper and all these guys a ton of credit because the time commitment is through the roof, and you're gone all the time, right? I mean, Jeremy just drove back 20 hours or whatever, and he's got kids at home, and so at some point in time, if you don't have the full team around you, it gets really tough.
Understood.
And so here I sit today, and I just live vicariously through those guys. Try and jump on the show every once in a while with you, and talk a lot with all these guys, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
We're going to take a break and get to Pipes here in a second, but how did they approach you to do that back then? Because again, it was so new that for me, it probably took me 4 years to figure out what I was even like. What are we doing here?
Sure. So, at that time, there were a few third-party sites that were just independent. And I had one of the independent third-party sites called Illini News.
Okay.
And so that was the very first thing I had, was Illini News.
That's unbelievable.
It was basically, friends and family and everyone in Central Illinois, right? And then it'd be really exciting when some guy would log in from like Florida or California, right? I mean, you were like, expanding your horizons. It was all based out of Gibson City, Illinois, right?
Unbelievable.
I mean, really, really cool opportunity. And so as those things grew, some marketing opportunities grew with those, and some name recognition came with that. And they were just trying to get somebody that had interest in really carrying it and growing it. And so that's how the call started.
That is so cool. I mean, it truly is. And it's amazing. So were you living in Gibson City?
I was at that time.
And you were then coming up and just doing interviews and doing such and just making that content available.
Correct.
Because otherwise you had obviously radio. You could hear sound bites on that. You had TV. I was probably working in the TV business close to when you started doing that. And so that was about it. You didn't have a lot of web stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was all chat stuff, right? I mean, if you could create a chat room where everything was going to be private and ran for 60 minutes on a Sunday night at 7 o'clock when
it's unreal.
All the kids were going to bed and the parents were all ready to go. I mean, if you could break something in there, it was like gold. You know what I mean? Let alone having all these paid sites and, But, on the 24/7, like once I really got onto that platform, I had like Ryan Snyder and Jay McDivitt, local Gibson City guys that had a passion to continue it, to like literally just jump on board, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah, Jay's with the Houston Texans now, right?
Is he really? Oh, I didn't know that.
What a neat,
wow,
platform for him to jump off of.
Well, it's amazing and it's really cool. And it's for you, I know that, you almost have to be a proud papa on that to think that, I was kind of one of the ones that helped start this thing.
Well,
or maybe a grandpa.
It is super, with the white beard and the white hair, the Santa look is looking good on me, so for sure. But no, it's just, like I said, it's really cool to see where it started to where it's at today.
Amen.
I mean, no doubt about it.
It's amazing. All right, here's what we're going to do. Let's catch a break. Reminder, we got Griffin Moore, Illinois tight end, going to join us at 4:05. We'll ask him about his experience getting a catch in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Very cool there. Just talk to him about the week in general. And, I want to ask him because Pipes asked me yesterday, what was my thought, what were my feelings after the game? I was ticked off. I hate losing, first of all. I guess, I don't know, I'm pretty competitive. So I'm like, and it wasn't like, woe is me, I spent all this money to come to Tampa. And I mean, it was all about enjoying the time with Andrew especially. But I wanted to win that game. I mean, like, I don't like Mississippi State, so I don't want them winning. I'm one of those guys that hardly ever roots for the Big Ten. I don't care. I'd rather Iowa lose every time they played a football game, to be honest with you. And so, that only helps us in recruiting, et cetera. But certainly, I really wanted a victory for Illinois, and obviously that didn't come through. So I want to ask Griffin, how was that locker room? Were you guys just, to the point of, hey, you know what, it was a great year, we move on? But, Illinois lost one? They won 1 out of 6 at the end. Brian Hightower's back he's in the portal now. Yes. So, a lot of things happening. Ryan Walters leaving. Obviously, Kevin Kane going to be his defensive coordinator. Corey Patterson taking over in Purdue as well, and now Brian Hightower in the portal. I like to just think that means Malik Elzy is going to have his spot, and Brian Hightower's like, I'll just move on. But certainly Brian Hightower, a big part of this team, and the way he really came on this season, you would have loved to have seen 14, right? Number 14 back in this Illinois uniform again next season. So tough news there, obviously, for Illinois, but such is the life of college athletics right now. And certainly we can talk on that as we continue to go along. I want to ask you about, as we go along, that. Like when you first started it, sports were different then. You didn't have the portal. You didn't have NIL. If you wanted to transfer, had to sit out a year. I mean, it was just a lot has changed. And I want to ask Jason Thompson how he feels about that. Again, so we'll have Griffin Moore at 4:05. We'll hear a little bit of Brad Underwood as we close the show out today. But when we return, Derek Piper from Evanston, he will get us ready for this game tonight against the Wildcats. Illinois is 0-2 in the Big Ten. They do not want to drop to 0-3. We never want to lose to Northwestern anyway. So we will catch all of that when we return. But first, a little business. Hey, as you file your tax return, Busey wants you to be aware of identity thieves who could be scheming to steal your refund. Now, wait a minute. We have to pay taxes all year. We deserve that refund. So, tax identity theft has been one of the most common form of identity theft the past 6 years. In observance of Tax Identity Theft Awareness Week, Busey's team of experts provides steps to protect yourself for this tax season. They ask you to file early. Criminals will have less time to use your info for a fake return. Secure that Wi-Fi connection. I know we all get a little bit lax on that. Shred sensitive documents. That's huge. Lock away secure documents. Secure your tax return by mailing it at a post office or official mailbox instead of your home. And of course, monitor your mail. There are a lot of things to remember, but Busey wants you to remember them all, and the best way to protect yourself from fraud is to be proactive.
3 minute
Busey
stations.
wants you to be
3
informed of
minutes
any
to your
security
next
issues,
Fox News
scams, or alerts
3030
that may compromise your personal or financial information. Visit the Information Security Center on Busey.com or call 1-800-67-BUSEY today. Busey, member FDIC.
When you're buying a battery, it's important to look beyond just the price and make sure you're buying a quality battery. So when you're buying one from the big box store, make sure you ask the question, what's the date on this battery? Is it dependable? Sometimes the big box stores have batteries that have been sitting on the shelf for years. Or you can just come to Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable, and buy your battery from the people who only do batteries. Interstate Batteries at 2504 North Madison, Champaign. Way out there, but totally worth the drive. How much is dependable worth to you? Interstate Batteries open 6 days a week.
Since we opened our doors, Busey Bank has been committed to the communities we call home. Building financial wellness, Busey is proud
2 minute
to offer
stations.
customized lending
2 minutes to
strategies
your next
and
Fox
innovative
News
resources
3030
to our vibrant communities. Busey Bank, building community one family, one street, one city at a time. Member FDIC, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini.
The next time you're out and around, why don't you stop into Pards in Urbana? Quality and service, that's her motto. And they have so much more than Western gear. A huge selection of jewelry, Briar collectible toys, gift cards, and the best boots you can buy anywhere. They feature an enormous collection of jeans, shirts, outerwear, belts, and hats. Pards is so much more than just a Western shop. Stop in and see it for yourself, just off University Avenue or online at pards.com.
PDR Automotive in Urbana has been providing quality auto repair service for almost 50 years. Trusted by AAA Motor Club, PDR employs ASE certified technicians that use the latest in diagnostic equipment. They offer nationwide warranties and are even authorized to perform vehicle maintenance that won't void your factory warranty. Check them out 24/7 online at pdrauto.com. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Jets is hiring. Call 217-352-9992 or stop into 1907 West Springfield Avenue near Round Barn in Champaign. Jets is open till 10 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays till midnight. Are you looking for a side hustle? Here's Josh from Jets talking about the benefits of doing deliveries.
When I was a delivery driver, it was amazing how much the actual amount of money I had just shot right up. You have money in your pocket every single day.
For details on joining the team, visit jetspizza.com.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Sit back and relax and take the drive with Tay and Derek Piper. Weekdays 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Yeah, you got to hit the button. See, there's a little button there you got to hit. You leave for one, a couple shows and you forget how to do everything. All right, it is the drive with Tay and Piper. Tay, Derek Piper. Pipes on the road. We're about ready to hear from him. Jason Thompson here with me. Guest hosting today. This has been fun. Pipes just said on the air, or on the phone, he's like, I had no idea that story about Jason being on the very first ever. That would have been then Tay and Jay show.
Correct.
Back in the day. So, look, Warner's lucky he even got a shot. And if you would have kept that, then there wouldn't have been Carp, there wouldn't have been Piper. So, I mean, Pipes, you I guess you owe Thompson here. You owe him for just deciding not to do it, my man.
I definitely do, and I'm wondering now if my shot's been blown. Maybe I've lost my spot. So, we'll see.
Jason?
Just keeping the seat warm, brother.
That's
Just keeping the seat warm. And you saved us 3 hours each way traveling up to Northwestern today, so we appreciate that.
You're right.
He's even sitting in a different seat. So I'm like, you can't have Pipe seat. That is that seat is already taken, my man. Well, listen, another news, by the way, Jason had just mentioned Vertus Brown has entered the transfer portal. So obviously Vertus Brown, a guy that Illinois fans really expected big things out of, and just kind of never came to fruition here at Illinois, but certainly a young man that, just kept fighting, just trying to get some spots, moved over to the defensive line, and just, this year playing behind Randolph and Newton, that's not easy to break through too. So Vertus Brown and Brian Hightower are the two that are in the portal that we know of right now. Maybe there's more, but certainly this will just be a continuous thing year in and year out. All right, Pipes, you and I can talk a lot about football, etc. later. Right now, though, it's time to focus back in on Illinois basketball. And, I don't know how many segments there are in a season, but certainly this one to me is the most important one, because really here comes your Big Ten gauntlet that begins tonight. And it's just one of those where, in the non-con, it seems like, sure, you play some really good teams, and, man, you have to credit Illinois for that. Brad Underwood said yesterday, I wouldn't trade resumes with anybody with what he's got in terms of wins. But certainly you seemingly have a little bit extra time to get practice reps in and such, and it's built that way. But when the Big Ten starts, I think there's 1 week you get off during the stretch. But for the most part, you better be ready to go, and that includes tonight. Is that correct?
Absolutely, especially when you're already 0-2 in the league and you got aspirations of trying to defend the Big Ten title. And we're going to find out what this team's made of tonight. I know you look at Northwestern, not a team that you traditionally get too amped up for, but this has been a place that has been a little tricky for Illinois, even though they won the last 8 in this series. The previous 8 was a 4-4 split, and this has been a situation where even
your
in those
top
wins
quarterback
for
for the
Illinois,
upcoming
they haven't
draft
seemed to come that easy. 9 of the last 10 games have been decided by
Sage is
single
not
digits.
easy,
I
but I'll
know
go
six
Will
of those
Kentucky, despite a year where you look at him and on tape and say, boy, what's wrong? He's taking sacks, right? He's making some mistakes, interceptions, fumbles. But it was far less than 100%. He was banged up all year behind a horrible offensive line. Didn't have Chris Rodriguez as running back the first 4 games. Wandale Robinson, top receiver from last year, was with the Giants this year. So I give him a lot of credit for the guts he showed. Sage hung in there, made some incredible throws, despite being hurt with foot, ankle, shoulder injuries, just to survive the year. And I'm him. I'm not playing the bowl game either. Let your body heal. I think Will Levis takes accountability, responsibility like Josh Allen does when he makes mistakes after the game. He's a leader. He's got all the physical and athletic skills you want. He can snap it from the ear. I really like Will Levis from Kentucky.
Yeah, so the numbers, the football acumen, absolutely, but those intangibles of leadership. So you had.
I'm assuming we'll be looking to bounce back similar to early in the season. They got hammered at home by Pitt, but then the very next game went on the road and beat a Michigan State team in East Lansing. So it's a good defensive squad for Northwestern. They got some older guards, and it's kind of a must-win season for Chris Collins. I'm not saying make or break with the tourney or not in terms of him getting fired, but he needs to show some progress, and they always look at this game as a big one, and Illinois needs to do the same.
You know, I think you said it, Pipes, to me, because as I asked the question, or after I asked the question, you started explaining things. In my mind, I'm like, how am I, as an Illini fan, going to feel as confident in this team as I did right after that UCLA game or right after that Texas game, essentially, where I thought, you know, I think after the UCLA game, I still had a little bit of, well, I'm probably going to need to see that again. After the Texas game, I was on board with, look, this team could for sure get Sweet 16 and maybe make a run in that NCAA tournament. Now, I still feel like this team can do that. But in my mind, while you were answering that, I was like, how is that going to happen? But I think you said it. String some wins together. I mean, if Illinois can win the next 4 or 5 or whatever it is in the Big Ten, then all of a sudden, I think as a fan base, you're back to the point of, hey, we're right where we need to be to take control of this Big Ten, get a Big Ten title, and then really make some hay in March. So I think you said it perfect there with regards to let's get some wins strung together here, and I think Illinois and this Big Ten schedule could allow that.
Definitely. And that's the good thing about January is it sets up to where your road games are against those that are projected towards the bottom of the Big Ten. You start off your first 3 road games in January at Northwestern, at Nebraska, and then at Minnesota. Now, you can't take anything for granted in this league. Like I said, Northwestern is a team that can beat you. Nebraska, we've already seen. They hammered Iowa. They beat Creighton. So maybe a little bit better and more feisty than we would have anticipated going into the season. But your tougher tests are at home. So this weekend against Wisconsin, you got Michigan State coming up at home. You got Indiana, Ohio State at home. All those are going to be really tough tests, but they're on your home floor. So the setup is there for you to be able to make some hay on the road if you can take care of business and then come back at home and try to defend your home court. But, yeah, it's just really getting back to
Derek Piper joining us on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line.
Hey, Derek, with some of the fans here just getting back from Tampa and some of the fans just wrapping up on the football season here, maybe having an opportunity to watch a lot of road opponents for Illinois, tell our fans a little bit about Northwestern and what they expect to see out of Northwestern Wildcats tonight.
You know what? I wondered if we lost him. That was my fault.
I'm getting the beeps.
That was my fault because all of a sudden I'm like, well, hold on a second. That doesn't sound like Pipe. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to allow him to call us back because I thought, man, he really stopped that sudden in that conversation. Here we go. He's back with us. Pipes, you're there with us, my man.
I'm here. 57's messing with me, man. We got enough construction. I don't even have cell service. What the heck?
What's going on? Well, listen, you're joining us on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line, and I'm going to turn it over to Jason. Jason, you asked the question great, but nobody was there to hear it.
Perfect. It's coming right back at him. No, Derek, with everybody kind of some of the Illinois fans, maybe not paying attention to all the Big Ten opponents, can you let the Illini fans get back from Tampa and end up football season here? Let them know what they're expecting tonight out of a Northwestern Wildcat team.
Yeah, it's a team that's older. They got older guys. Boo Booey's a name that people are pretty familiar with. Now, he didn't have his name called in terms of scoring a bunch because Trent Frazier's locked him up for a couple of years. But he's one of those high-volume scorers, going to put up a lot of shots. And you can't let him get going because he's shown he has something against Michigan State because last year I think he put up 30 against them, and they beat the Spartans, and this year played fantastic on the road and had 20 in that win at East Lansing. He's got to make sure he doesn't have one of those nights against you. He likes to get downhill. He likes to take threes whenever he sees an opening. Chase Audiz leads him in scoring. Him and Bowie put up half of their field goal attempts run through those two guards, because outside of them, they just don't have a ton of firepower. But Audiz, 15, 16 points a game, a guy that is improved with his three-point stroke last year, kind of in that 26% range. Now it's upper 30s, and he's someone that also is one of the better defenders in the Big Ten and really uses that as a tool to get his offense going, where he's one of the top steals guys in the league, and he's very good in transition and is able to score there. So those are the two guys to watch out for with their offense. And then kind of just in general, it's your traditional Northwestern. Now, it's not like the Bill Carmody Princeton offense, but a lot of screening. They'll try to back cut you. They'll try to do some things off of screens to get you kind of out of sorts and break down with your matchup. So Illinois is going to have to communicate. I know they're not doing the whole switch everything defense now. They've kind of pivoted away from that, but still you got to communicate. You got to switch at times and just be really sound and engaged there. So, and defensively with Northwestern, right now, some people might be surprised if you weren't paying attention. They're 7th in the country in defensive efficiency. Now, some of that is who they've played. They haven't played the toughest of schedules, but like they played a game in the 40s against an Auburn team that's top 25. They've held some teams down with their defense. They're really good in the lane. They got a 7-footer in Matthew Nicholson that can block some shots. Even Robbie Barron, 6'9". So they really want to clog up the paint and make you kind of beat them from three with the way that they're going to make you try to take shots over. They can contest you. And Illinois, especially with their half-court offense, they're trying to figure out, is going to have to be able to run some good offense, good movement, and take good shots.
Well, you nailed it. That was my next question. Is obviously Illinois struggled offensively, especially running true sets and running through their offense. Right? I'm sure coach is ready to pull his hair out. The amount of bad threes that have been taken. Right? The amount of first shots. No ball rotation or movement. So offensively for Illinois, what do you think we'll see anything different tonight, especially against a defense that we know is top 7 in the country, and that's what they're hoping. Right? They're hoping for an Illinois bad 3-point shot. Quick transition, get down the other end for a layup, 2 easy points. We know that Illinois Northwestern's always ugly, right? It's always a muck-up game. It's always like they're playing underwater. No matter what, we're gonna be screaming at the television. You'll be screaming at your laptop tonight. So offensively for Illinois, you think we'll see anything different tonight?
Yeah, I know that they went a lot more spread in that last game against Bethune-Cookman, and it was kind of clunky at first and seemed like they had trouble even getting in the offense, and then later on they kind of settled in and got some baskets out of it. And that's kind of the biggest thing I'm looking for tonight, where you look at Northwestern's strength is their defense. Illinois, with the spread offense, I know why Brad's going that route. Now, number one, that's his patented offense that he came in with, and it creates and forces structure, ball movement, player movement, which Illinois really was lacking in all those categories with their 5 out and just weren't running offense, weren't passing the ball enough, weren't sustaining enough action to really make the defense work. So I'm just very curious for a half-court offense that when it's not run correctly or just up to a certain level with its pace, with its kind of the way that you're able to be on the same page with your teammates and being able to also kind of run some counters, so to speak, out of it. Like when Northwestern is able to anticipate a certain action or anticipate a certain pass, will you be able to cut to the basket? Will you be able to run some gimmicks out of it to kind of make them think you're going one way and you come off a screen a different way? If you don't do that with spread, it's such a predictable offense to defend. And we saw that. That's the reason why a couple of years ago when Underwood came in running it in that 2019-20 season with Io and Trent and Kofi, they started running the spread, and they were just no good at it. And they'd been practicing it since the summer. So now you look at this iteration of Illinois, and they've been mixing it in since December, really started repping it a lot in practice in finals week. So how truly ready is it tonight to be able to execute against a good defense? I wonder about that. Also, as I mentioned, Northwestern being good defending in the paint, that will make things harder on Dane Danger, who's been one of the bright spots here recently, a guy that obviously has a lot of skill and ability to score around the basket, but Northwestern will contest his shots and have a legit 7-footer to make him try to score around him. So I think at any chance possible, if Illinois can turn Northwestern's bad offense, which they have a tendency to be pretty poor at that end at times, to turn that into quick scores and transition without playing out of sorts and not turning it over, I would love to see that. But then I think we're going to see a lot of spread. I'm just curious to see how effective it is for a team that hasn't still like fully clicked with it and repped it a whole lot within the last month.
And not to mention the continuity, right? You talked about that earlier. You know, when you're running that offense and you're relying on somebody that's going to make that back cut, somebody's going to make that screen, right? Somebody's going to read the defense and make a secondary version of it. They don't have that, and that's been the issue, right? Continuity in terms of leadership, continuity in terms of playing together, continuity in terms of trusting each other. How do you think Brad's handling that right now? Obviously, it's been a difficult week and a half or week since the Missouri game, and some tough practices. Some guys kind of going.
I wouldn't have wanted to be at those practices.
Right. But at some point in time, it is time, right? You can't go 0-3 in the Big Ten. The Big Ten session is here. I mean, you're at the cusp of a make or break season, and that was the whole deal, right? We're bringing these guys in. We're going to run. It just hasn't worked yet. What do you think's changing right now, and how, talking about coaches today, coaches are psychologists today, right? They're doctors of psychology. They're more than just X's and O's and parents and leadership to these guys. But what do you think is going to have to change for these guys to really buy into each other?
That's a good question. I think it's one that Brad keeps asking himself here in recent weeks, and it feels like he's tried to push every button he could, where after Penn State, he calls up the leadership and is kind of aggressive in the media, and some would say, based on the reaction since then from the team, just kind of with their results and how they looked on the floor, that maybe it didn't work. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But they were uninspired in that Missouri game, and even in that Alabama A&M game, we all know the comments that Matthew Meyer made, and just seemed like a player and a coach that he flat out said we're not seeing eye to eye and everything. So I think that he's tried to take more leadership in himself. I mean, that's not to say that Brad hasn't in the past, but he just kind of had to be more hands-on with it. I think that is even in a literal sense with the scheming of just feeling like he has to have more set plays and more set actions and have more control over this team, where coming in, he was kind of, as he visualized what they were supposed to look like, it was supposed to be, like you mentioned, a really fast-paced offense, a really creative one that you can kind of put the ball in hands of skilled guys that had athleticism and just kind of let it spontaneously, marinate out there and be able to have Coleman make plays and have Terrence and Matt and RJ, and you didn't want to put too much constraints around them. But now that it's gone to the spread, and you also mentioned just kind of you need to be crisp, you need to be on the same page, you need to be able to know when a guy's going to cut here and everything, and that comes with reps, that comes with practice, as Brad has talked about. But at some point, it's going to have to be a player-led type of thing. And I thought that was Terrence Shannon. I thought Illinois had that figured out coming into the year. I really did. I thought that Terrence had come in and been that type of a not only just a lead by example with his work ethic and a guy that had been there and played in the second weekend in the NCAA tournament, but he just seemed very willing in that sense. And I don't know what's been off with him on that front. I understand that Matt's just kind of not really that guy that has been totally bought in and being that role, and Coleman's too caught up in working through his individual stuff to try to get consistent and everything. So they're going to have to come together. They're going to have to, they don't got to be the best of friends, or they don't got to, necessarily be playing the best individually. They just got to be bought in collectively. And Brad can only do so much there. I know it's his job to get it figured out and he gets paid handsomely to do it, but I think that at some point the team just kind of has to click or not, and we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, Pipes, you and I really don't like each other. We make it happen.
It's true. Just because you get paid so much.
Right, that's what it is.
The money talks. You can buy the beers afterwards and forget about it.
As long as you buy the beers, then anybody can work with you. You'd be a great coworker. There's no doubt. Derek Piper, Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line. Just a couple more for you real quick. I guess I didn't look at a game on January 4th at Northwestern as kind of a pivotal game for the season, but, do you buy what Brad Underwood, and I kind of do, because of the win over Texas and UCLA. But do you buy when he says, hey, I wouldn't trade a resume with anybody right now?
Well, I think his comment was that he wouldn't trade his resume with any of his previous teams at this point.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So I do understand that, and I think as far as the quality of win, they've never come out of a non-conference with too big of wins as they've had against Texas and UCLA, and really like losing by 15 at home to Penn State, although Penn State right now looks like an NCAA tournament team or on that bubble at the very least. That's not a good loss by any means, but it's not as crippling of a loss of losing to like a Nebraska now. And then Maryland on the road, not a bad loss. Missouri looks better than we would have anticipated. Again, the inflated scores and kind of how much you got owned and blown out against Missouri and Penn State don't look good. But I will take him at his word of like resume and compared to years past. But the thing about the teams of previous is that after taking some lumps in the non-conference, they've gotten really, really hot. They've strung together a bunch of wins and figured it out and went on, and also been a team that has kind of been able to counteract some, maybe even some bad losses with. It's been a team and a program that's won a ton on the road in the Big Ten. Like, they've been great with being able to go into opposing venues and be able to come out with wins consistently. Now, with how just kind of the high variance and just the up and down nature of this team, can they be a squad that gets as many road wins or just kind of able to be as consistent throughout a season? I'm not sure we're going to see that, but I agree with you. I think that this is a extremely pivotal game. You start 0-3, and you just wonder about emotionally where this team would go if they lost this game. So they need it, and they need to look like a team that feels like they need it.
I think Jason's going to put you to the test with the win or lose tonight. But I want to ask you, how about that Rutgers-Purdue? Did you see Matt Painter's quote? It was one of the best. It was one of the best quotes, and I'm looking it up right now to see if I can, me and trying to figure out technology and all this stuff. But it was one of the best quotes ever, and essentially what he said was, look, we knew what we were going to face. We understood it was going to be a war, and if we ever did actually go to war, then we're stopping by New Jersey and we're picking that team up. I mean, it was one of the coolest quotes I've ever seen because, I mean, he's right. It's a dogfight when you play Rutgers. But what did you take of Purdue losing at home to West Lafayette? Talk about opening the door again now for Illinois to jump right back in it.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be a messy Big Ten, and it's because they don't necessarily have a true elite team, in my opinion. I know that going into the year, we talked about Indiana, whether they could be that. But I mean, I know that you expressed, and a lot of other people out there, the kind of skepticism of how much better they would be because of some of their shooting woes. Illinois not figuring it out. Those are the teams that were projected towards the top. I still like Purdue. I think they're a top 15 type of team, but were they the number one team in the country? Were they a top 5 team? Are they like a Final Four squad? I've never believed that. Of course, Zach Edey, definitely the most dominant player, I should say, in the conference, and their freshman guards have played really, really well. But that's kind of, we see it with Illinois, where you kind of have that question: if your top guards are true freshmen, are they going to be able to be relied upon? I mean, on the flip side, you had Paul Mulcahy, who's been around forever, right. and Caleb McConnell, and Cliff Amore's a really good big man. And I just think it's a huge credit. Like last year when Purdue, I think they were number 1 in the country when they went to the rack, and Ron Harper Jr. banks in or hits that half-court three, and they upset them. So Rutgers is really, really tough. They're a team that, they're about to make their 3rd straight NCAA tournament, which has never been done in their 100-plus years, as I said on the show yesterday. And that's just a huge credit to Steve Heichel. And I think that as you look at it from Illinois' sense, like going into this year, you would have pointed to Brad Underwood's squads and said, that's a team I want to pick up because those guys are tough. Those guys are everyday guys. Those guys will bring it every night, and they got to get back to that. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a wild league. I think it's going to be a sense where, if you're 15-5, if you take 5 losses, that's probably good enough to win it.
Yeah.
Kind of based on the injuries Indiana has, the inconsistency that Illinois has, the questions I still have about a team like a Purdue. I know I'm still not buying Wisconsin. So I think that, yeah, you're going to see some wild results. You can't take anything for granted, but I kind of expected Purdue to take their first loss on the road, which actually is tomorrow against Ohio State. But them losing in Mackey, that was not one I had penciled in.
All right, Derek, moment of truth. We got opportunity for some guys to step up tonight. We're looking for some leadership roles. We're looking for some great offensive sets. Give us the kind of gold chain here, and what's your prediction for the crystal ball for the game tonight?
Oh, man. Yeah, I do have Illinois winning. I think it's a really close game. I think it feels like a fight to 60. It feels like one of those just really ugly Big Ten games that can be tough for either team to really score. And I hope Illinois' defense is connected enough and locked in enough to make that the case. I think they'll need it because I still have, like I mentioned, a lot of questions about Illinois with how effective their spread offense is going to be. But we'll find out. You got RJ and Sky, both with shoulder both shoulders have been banged up, and we'll see how effective both of those are tonight. And you got Sincere. Will he stay in the starting lineup? What's he able to do? And his returning on the road, and you put freshmen in that kind of environment. Sometimes we'll see, sink or swim. But I think this team, obviously on paper, a lot more talented than Northwestern. They've had a lot of practice time, as we talked about, and I think they just find a way and get out a close one. But nothing would really surprise me if Northwestern won at home. Wouldn't shock me. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about tomorrow about where this team's going, but I think that Brad gets this team to a point of being able to scratch and claw one out. And but it's going to be an exciting game, and obviously the spread's really tight, and nothing, again, would necessarily surprise me.
2.5, right, on the spread?
Yeah, looks like we got Illinois -3.
-3, okay.
8 o'clock game, so it should be lively.
Here we go.
Big Ten Network.
Let's do it, man. Well, Pipes, I know you're close to Evanston, so safe travels tonight, obviously today, and tomorrow getting back. But we'll visit with you tomorrow on the show, and we'll talk all about it, my friend.
Sounds good. Great talking to you guys, and have a good one.
All right, buddy. That is Derek Piper on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line. Good stuff there. And you and I, Jason, next hour will break down a little bit of what we think will happen in the game against Northwestern. It is pretty – I mean, you look at it, and like he said about your schedule, you're at Northwestern, then you get Wisconsin at home this Saturday. Then you're at Nebraska. Then you've got Michigan State at home. And then you're at Minnesota before welcoming Indiana and Ohio State. So it's true. Like, you've got these 3 games on the road, and I would say 4, including Northwestern, right? Am I counting right? 1, 2, 3? No, 3. Those are games you've got to win. If you're a serious participant in winning a Big Ten championship, then you've got to win those games. And then you welcome in the likes of Wisconsin. You know what they're going to do, right? They're going to just make you talk about muck it up. Michigan State, who by then Malik Hall might be fully ready to roll. He played 18 minutes the other night, so you're starting to get him back with good health. And then, of course, an Indiana team that's kind of wounded right now and trying to pick they've got one, tomorrow night at Iowa, I think, is their first game, so that should be fun. And then, of course, Ohio State in town. You never know. Sensible having a big year for them. So, yeah, it's weird. It's like a winnable road game, tough home game. Winnable road game, tough home game. Winnable road game, tough home game. And we looked at the schedule at the start of the year, and we said that's a favorable schedule for Illinois, not just this open part of it, but all of it. And, you're 0-2. So it makes you a little bit worried as you roll along. All right, Jason, you and I will talk all about that next hour. Jason Thompson is my guest host today as Piper is on the road covering the Illini. When we return, Griffin Moore, the old Big 12, right? Bloomington High School quarterback, as Jason pointed out earlier this hour. He's going to join us at 4:05.
3-minute stations.
We'll talk to Griffin Moore and ask him about his big catch in the bowl game. It came in a big spot, and also just what it was like to be down in Tampa and what that does for this team moving forward. We've got that. We'll also hear from Brad Underwood. How healthy is Sky Clark? How healthy and how close is Luke Goody? He answers those questions next hour. Till then, quick break. It is The Drive.
Wouldn't it be nice to visit a car dealership where you didn't feel like you were at an auction? Or didn't feel like you were being taken to the cleaners?
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Welcome to Sarah Champagne. At Sarah, they offer a one-price promise. Every vehicle at a fair price, no negotiation, only the best price. Sarah Champagne, Honda, BMW, GMC, Buick, and Subaru. SERRA Champagne.com.
Carpet Weavers is flooring their customers. They work with the biggest brands to bring you the best selections and prices on hardwood, luxury tile, carpet, and more. Stop in at 616 West Market View Drive in Champaign and let one of their sales associates help you find the perfect flooring for your lifestyle. Their 100% satisfaction guarantee allows you to be confident in your purchase. Carpet Weavers has been flooring people with beautiful carpet and flooring since 1988. In fact, they're nationally ranked as one of the top 25 specialty flooring stores in the country. Find out more online at carpetweaversflooring.com.
Hi, this is Kirk Lehman with Lehman Paintworks.
out of Forest, Illinois, and we are looking for you. If you are a body shop technician who likes working on semis and making wrecked trucks look brand new again, you are the man for the job. Get on our website at laymanpaintworks.com or give us a call at 815-657-7590. We want you. Please go to our website at laymanpaintworks.com, click on the Jobs tab, and send in your resume.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
I'm going to tell you right now, Stevie, that thing is the best thing I've ever slept on in my life. My wife and I both have said we've never had better night's sleep. And the people at Kelsey's were fantastic. Brian is the guy that helped us. You know, as much as I did my research, he had a world of knowledge about beds themselves. Oh, man, it's like sleeping on a cloud, man.
Kelsey Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
You've set your financial goals. One kid plans to go Big Ten, the other Ivy. Your bucket list includes seaside sunrises and sunsets on the slopes, or perhaps a second home away from it all. Busey Bank can help develop the right investment strategy to take charge of the years ahead. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud